I'm Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. I'm delighted to welcome vocalist Marc of Leeds-based old school death metal band Cadaver Soiree. So how are you doing these days, Marc? It's been a fun and games world these days in lockdown, so you still been working, etc.?
Yeah, still working. I work at a global international conglomerate that has stayed open throughout. So yeah, I'm still working, still cracking on.
Yeah. So are you still going in like Monday to Friday, or is it now like 3 days in the office, 2 days working from home or something? Or
Well, I work in a warehouse, so it's all on site. But I only work 4 days anyway because that's just the way our shifts work. I just work long days.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks very much, Marc. So we're here to talk about Cadaver Soiree then. So with the lockdown and everything tightening up again, have Cadaver Soiree been using this time constructively and written more songs?
Yeah, definitely. We've used it sort of constructively across sort of various means, really, because we can't really get together in the studio so much.
Yeah.
We've just been kind of doing our own thing at home. Andy, our guitarist, is a riff factory. He just cranks them out and cranks them out. Like the rate that guy writes is unbelievable. So he's just been sending us song ideas, and like we contribute our parts. Neil, our bass player, he writes everything because he just plays on a whole different level. He just does his own thing, and we just let him do that because it's just easier.
Yeah.
I write all the vocals and all the melodies and all that sort of thing and lyrics. So I've been busy doing that. But as well, in the newer content, I play guitar myself. Me and Andy met in a previous band where I played bass for him. So I've been contributing the odd riff here and there as well. So the way that it works is, because we're all remote, obviously, when we don't get together in the studio so much, is Andy will send us ideas. We give him suggestions, and then he'll review it, record it himself, send it to us. But it's the whole thing, like drums, everything.
Yeah.
With the stuff that I write, I just send him very rough recordings of the riffs that I write, and he kind of understands my thinking because we've worked together for a number of years. So he can interpret what I mean from a very rough recording, which is useful because I'm terrible with sort of technology.
So how are you actually recording it then? Are you using something on like Reaper or something like that, or
not even that? Not even that. I'll literally just pick up my guitar, record it on my phone.
So how many songs would you say that you're writing on? Are there any that are close to completion, or?
Yeah, there's a few that are completely all done, lyrics, everything. In fact, there's a couple that we managed to play before the lockdown as well that have had a live outing. So that's good. Between me and Andy, we've written, I think, 5 or 6 more songs.
Okay.
Neil has pitched in as well with a couple of ideas that we're going to be using, and since getting the drummer as well, it's been kind of getting him up to speed with the new material, but I'm sure we'll come to that in a moment.
Yeah. So I think you touched on it earlier, like with you being the vocalist, then do you do all the lyrics, or do you welcome the contribution from other guys as well?
It's not that I don't welcome it. In fact, Neil has actually contributed some lyrical ideas in the past. It's just the way I write, the way I vocalize as well. It's a very personal thing, so I would probably find it more difficult to take on board other people's ideas. Like, it's not to take anything away from it, but I prefer doing the songs that I've written to the previous songs that we had with our previous vocalist. I just connect with them on a different level, so that's just my preference.
Yeah. So what would you say inspires you as a lyricist then? Is it the way the world is, or is it like old school death metal, like being chopped in half and turned inside out and things?
There's bits of everything, to be honest. I'm quite a political person, and I do sort of write in that vein as well. So for example, we have a song called Napalm Light, which is literally about the political ideologies of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But then we've also got a song called Blood Spatter Feng Shui, which is about someone I don't like.
Do they know that?
No. Although they are the subject of about 5 songs I've written.
Good stuff, good stuff. Keeps them thinking. That's excellent. So for those that are new to the band then, how would you say the new music, the new songs compare to your early material? And do you think that you're now finding the sound that you've been looking for since your debut album to Betray the Creator?
Yeah, definitely. So the original album, like, it was all songs that were written many, many years previously, but because of the departure of the drummer we had at the time, we were using all electric drums. So we thought, why not add the samples in as well and kind of get a different kind of sound out of that. But now with the new drummer, we're sort of moving away from that again and going more towards an old school traditional death metal sound, no electronic elements to speak of really, but also a lot heavier, like a lot heavier. It's some of the new songs are really, really quite brutal, like verging on tech death at some stages, which is like I'm big on, so that works for me.
Yeah. No, I love old school death metal, the bands like Obituary and Autopsy and stuff like that, and I do hear their influences in your music as well. So the fact that you're saying that it's getting heavier, that's music to me. That's what I like to hear. So, sorry, on you go.
I was going to say, we're kind of, as well as the death metal influence, obviously we're going along the sort of Autopsy route and sort of Obituary and all that sort of thing, but we're incorporating some grind in there as well. A few blackened elements. So it's kind of a broad spectrum of extreme music whilst staying pretty true to sort of old school and even new school death metal as well.
Yeah. So it's not a change in direction, but what would you say like brought all these other influences to come in? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or was it just something that was just creeping in?
It's something that's kind of been creeping in during my time in the band, certainly, because I'm into kind of more in-your-face, crunching, kind of Cannibal Corpse, like American death metal. Andy's getting into all that as well, and Neil just does Neil. Like the stuff he plays, it's like, okay, I mean, it shouldn't work, but it really, really does.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously as well with the drummer as well, it's just a constant blast. It's great. But yeah, it's kind of a natural progression for us, and it's kind of the different influences between like me and our previous vocalist as well. Like he's very into the sort of sweet death sort of genre. I love it to bits, but I'm more into kind of the more brutal American death metal stuff.
It's also good to have Betray the Creators like a benchmark for where you want to go on to next. So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to hearing the new songs. So talking about the songs themselves then, so how are they constructed in the studio? I mean, are there the main songwriters to the songs, or is Cadaver Soiree a band where all members contribute? You kind of touched on it a wee bit earlier.
For the most part, Andy will send us rough ideas of songs and we'll then sort of give him amendment ideas, or I'll pitch in a riff, or Neil will throw something in, or but there have been times in the studio when we've been able all to get together that we have been able to sort of write together and bounce off each other in a live setting. So there's a song that's going to be on the new album that's it's quite atmospheric, but it's a real gut punch once it kicks in. That was one that we all wrote together, and it's quite blackened in its sound.
So have you been quite lucky to meet up in the rehearsal studio, or yeah,
we have practiced at Pirate in Leeds, which is kind of a kind of nice middle ground for all of us, because I live in Bolton, so it's a good 50-mile drive for me, but that's fine. But the other two live in Wakefield, so kind of they come in my direction a little bit. We kind of meet that way. And now the drummer as well lives in Leeds, so he's more local to that. But we've also been practicing at Diamond Studios in Wakefield. Because of kind of the restrictions, it's been difficult knowing kind of what we're allowed to do, because we received an email to say that you're allowed one car and then you're allowed as many cars as you want. So much the same as everything, really. It's kind of no one knows where we're at, so we just kind of go with what we know. But Diamond Studios is the studio that my previous band with Andy, a Wakefield band called Hammer X, we used to practice there. Great studio. Unfortunately, it's actually closed this week. closed like forever, it looks like, which is a real shame because it's a real sort of local institution, as I understand it.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely crazy what's been happening. So how often would you say you would meet? Is it like once a week?
It used to be, before sort of the world went mad. It used to be once a week. Now we're back to practicing. Personally, I can't get there because Bolton's in lockdown, so I can't risk going on the motorway. But they're still rehearsing roughly every 2 weeks. Again, getting a new drummer up to speed with the old material, the new material, and then writing sort of bits and pieces in between there as well. So we're keeping on top of it, and obviously we're all in contact on Messenger and things like that as well.
Yeah. So was that like I take it was only until recently you started meeting up in the studio and the rehearsal. So
yeah,
it must have been like since March. So you're trying to remember who's actually in the band again. What instrument do you play?
To be honest, it's kind of a testament to the band itself. We're a really, really tight-knit bunch. We've really stayed in contact throughout lockdown, really sort of kept on top of what we want to do as a band and sort of kept the plans in motion. Like, it was always the plan to record either very, very late this year or early next year. So we're still on track for that, really.
Yeah.
So we've been quite blessed in that the three of us, and now the four of us, are sort of really close in that way.
That's excellent. Thank you very much for that, Mark. So going back to Betray the Creator. So you released your debut album To Betray the Creator in July of last year. So I know it's over a year ago now, but how have the responses been for the album? And did you get much time to promote the album in the live front?
The responses have been near enough overwhelmingly positive, which is unusual for me, but it kind of reinforces kind of like I suffer with a lot of sort of self-doubt issues, but it kind of reinforces that I'm doing the right thing in sort of moving to vocals, that the band is a good one, you know what I mean, that the lineup's good, that the songs are good, that the sound's good. So like I say, it's been really very positive. In terms of kind of promoting it, we did promote it quite heavily at the time, and we've been trying to get out there on a live sort of stage, really, as much as possible. Obviously the last 8 months have been a complete write-off with regard to that. I don't think we've anything booked now for the rest of the year, and even so, I would highly doubt that anything's going to go ahead this year anyway. We've got a good few gigs lined up for next year. Obviously we're now to sort of say it in a harsh way, we're more of an attractive prospect for promoters because now we're seen as a proper band because we have a drummer. But yeah, it's difficult to keep engagement in something on a purely online basis. But we do what we can. Obviously, I'm happy to talk to people as often as we can. We're posting on social media as much as possible. Yeah. Keep our names out there, and obviously we're still booking gigs for when they're available.
That's excellent. Thanks, Mark, for that. So with the album, again, you released 2 singles from the album, namely Eons of Lies and Limbless. So they were released before the album. Was there ever plans to do another video after the release, or did COVID put to bed that idea?
We did kind of toy with the idea of other videos. There are lyric videos now for all the songs on our YouTube channel. But in terms of like an official video or like an official lyric video, really we kind of stopped at Eons. We did release Cordyceps as an online only single as well. That's available on Spotify as the rest of the album. But really, in terms of getting more videos out, like I say, we've got the lyric video for Limbless. We've got the official video that we filmed for Aeons, and then we've got the sort of little lyric videos, and we try and keep on top of that as well with kind of live videos. There's a good few live performances on our YouTube, and we're trying to do more in the rehearsal space as well. That's a bit of a learning curve because of the differences in sound now and things like that.
Yeah. So who does the videos for you, for example? Who does the lyric videos? Is it one of yourselves, or do you have a contact who does all that for you?
It's Neil that sorts all that out. I think it's a friend of his that did the lyric videos, and they used. I know that the artwork that they used was the artwork that I made for the booklet for the CD.
Yeah.
The video for Aeons, it was again Neil that sorted this. He's the great sorter of things. It was two guys that are in his local area that do music videos. I'll be honest, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I'll send you the details.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, they were really cool. They came up with like a lot of different and interesting things to do with like the different shots and slow motion, and like they were very interested in fires that I made, so they did a lot with that as well. So they were good dudes. But yeah, it's all been Neil that's sorted that out.
That must be quite a bit of a headache that you've got somebody in the band that can do that type of thing. So you've got your lyrics to worry about.
Yeah, all I do is turn up and shout. It's great.
So the album is obviously, it came out last July, so it's over a year old now. So if you had a chance to reflect on it, would there be anything that you would change on it? The way that you approached it, or the sound, or is there anything that you would change?
To be honest, the only thing that I would really change was the drums, because Dan Mullins, who we'll talk about in a minute, he recorded the drums, but it was a kind of a last minute decision. He said, look, if I know the drum parts, obviously he'd been working on the songs for the last, God knows how long. And like he had his kit there in the studio. He's a renowned drummer. He's like, do you want me to just record the drum parts? And we're like,
as if you were going to say no.
yeah. No, you're all right. No, but he did that all in one go, but he actually did it last to the guitar parts that had already been recorded. So it turned out, like, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, but traditionally you record the drum parts first.
Okay.
And then play the guitar parts and do the vocals and all that sort of thing along to the drums. As happy as I am that it came out the way it did, I wish we'd kind of decided that Dan was going to do the drums first.
Yeah.
And that we could have done it in a more traditional and organic kind of way. And the sound might have benefited from it, but it's hard to tell. But in terms of the actual sound of the instruments, and again, blowing my own trumpet, but I'm really happy with my vocal performance on it. No, I wouldn't change all that much, to be honest.
So you're not going to do like I think it was Corpse Grinder, but I think it was the Vile album where you actually re-recorded the whole of the vocals. So you were quite happy with your vocals then?
Yeah, I was really pleased with them. Again, that was Dan. He told me like how to get the best out of my own vocals, and he recorded in a style that really seemed to suit me. So
yeah,
props to him.
That's excellent. Thank you very much for that. So we talked about it a wee bit, and you've dropped it in a couple of times, but I've been hearing rumours that Cadaver Soiree have finally got their mitts on a full-time drummer in Victor Rona. So what can you tell us about him, and how did you find him?
He actually messaged us at the start of not long after lockdown had happened. He was like, are you still after a drummer? We're like, yes, we are. Please come and try out for us. We'd played a gig with him previously in his previous band, Art Killer. We'd played on the same bill as them. I'd spoken to, I think, their bassist, who had said previously that he had been interested in trying out for us, but it didn't materialise at that time for whatever reason. Yeah. So we said, yeah, of course, we're happy to have you try out. So Andy sent him the songs. He sat down on his kit at home, bashed out the songs. They met up with him and did a few jams. This is, again, before I was able to get down because of the local lockdowns. They sort of relayed to me everything that had gone on. They were very positive. He showed real commitment to it, real improvement every week as well. So we were more than happy with him, and he was very, very enthusiastic about it all as well. So we were happy to have him on board, and he's a really nice dude as well. So that helps.
I bet you still made him audition twice though, just to be sure.
we gave him a couple of weeks, but yeah, he's a good fit. We're very happy with him.
So has he added his own wee touches to the drums to the songs then? Yeah, his own wee twist.
Yeah, very much so. He's big on fills and big on different foot patterns and things like that. He's not changed the structure of the songs, but certainly what he does what he does within them, he's added his own flair already, and it's just a good addition. That was like kind of one of the things that I was always a little down on with the recorded drums. It's difficult to get like a live feel, because as none of us are kind of full-time drummers, we're not big on like knowing when to add what fill. So the drums on occasion sounded a little bit like underperformed.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like the sample sounded good, but like a live drummer would add like exciting fills in and things like that and keep it fresh.
Yeah,
what we get with Victor.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. So still talking about a drummer then, and we talked about him a wee bit earlier. So you used Dan Mullins, who plays drums in a whole host of bands for the recording to Betray the Creator. So he must have turned things up a notch on the drumming front due to his past experience with such bands and My Dying Bride and Balsagoth, for example. So you must have felt quite lucky to use his services.
Yeah, like I said, he offered at the time, and it just made so much sense for him to do it. And it was, like I say, a real honor at the time. I remember us all sat in the control room while he did his thing, and me and Neil just went, we could just like hear his drums, and like we could hear him from the next room, and they were just so powerful. And like you'd think he'd been playing them for years, like just the way he played them, like he knew the patterns and he just had it dialed. There were a couple of songs that I think he did in one take.
Wow.
Which, I mean, the guy's a machine.
I think he did ask him to join the band at the time, yeah.
we didn't actually ask him. I wish we had now. Nah, we're happy with where we are. But no, the guy's an absolute machine, and he's an absolute joy to work with as well. Really nice dude.
Yeah. So do you think you'll work with him again when it comes to like recording your next release?
It's something that we're considering at the moment. Obviously, with sort of recording being up in the air, and yeah. I think he's working full time in recording. Actually, in fact, I plan to ask him at some point. We may use him again. We'll see what kind of situation we're in when the time comes. There's a studio in Bury called Pointy Halo that we've been looking at as well. Yeah. There's a few different options that we're currently weighing up, but definitely if the chance to work with Dan again came up, we'd be happy to do it because he's a sound dude.
Yeah, no, excellent. So you talked earlier like you had like 5, maybe 6 songs or something. So are you looking at doing like an EP, or are you actually just going to record a couple more songs and do like an album?
We're constantly writing. Like I said, Andy is an absolute factory for riffs. He just throws them out. If you gave him a day, he could probably write a full album. Yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure he has done. But the guy just writes at an incredible rate. And it's all like, it's not like any of it's filler. Like either like the stuff that he writes is all good. So pretty much every idea that he has, we end up using. Like I said, we're aiming to record probably at the start of next year. So I think realistically, we're probably looking at another 3, maybe 4 songs. And that'll bring us up to kind of 10, 11 songs. So it'll be like full length again.
Yeah, no, cool. Well, obviously, when the time comes, be sure to send it to us. We'll certainly do our part to promote it and review it. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing it, mate. So, cool. So, having known you guys for some time on social media, things seem to be very settled on the band members front. So, how would you say you keep it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song? Then, are there any arguments in the studio, any fisticuffs?
No, we're really, really lucky on that front. All 3 of us, and now Victor as well, we get on really well musically. So Neil's kind of an all-round music guy. He's not necessarily on the extreme front. He's not on the classical front. So he kind of does his own thing and we let him. He just does what he wants, and that's fine. Me and Andy are very much on the same page when it comes to music. Occasionally I'll suggest something, and it's never a case of like there being an argument. He's just like, okay. Like there was a riff that I contributed in a song called Narcissectomy, and I was adamant that it should have a blast beat at the beginning. And he originally recorded it with it's like a D beat, I think, from what I remember. And I was like, no, I want that to have a blast beat. And he was like, okay, just changed it. Wow. So we're all, I think, possibly too nice.
So how are you when you've written your best riff and everything like that, and you can't wait till the other guys hear it? You take it to the studio and they go, nah.
Never happened. Genuinely never happened.
Cool. That's excellent. Thanks, mate. So how strong would you say the Leeds scene is, and would you like to give a shout out to any bands like? And also, you were talking about it looks as if another recording studio. What about the clubs? Are the things okay with the clubs, and what about promoters? Are they being affected by this COVID? If they still surviving and whatnot?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's affected by it at some level. Us as bands, them as promoters, because obviously if they're a full-time promoter, that's their livelihood.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can't put on shows, or that the shows that can be put on are extremely limited, it's a big effect, and it trickles down like from your big venues all the way to like pubs and things like that.
Yeah. Are the venues and everything still open? Well, I mean, they're still there. They're not closed down yet.
Most of them, yeah. There's one local to me called the Alma in Bolton. That was
the Alma Inn, yeah.
Yeah, you've heard. So it was looking like it was going to shut down permanently a couple of weeks ago, but the old landlord Jim has gone back. They're reopening it, and I'm properly happy about that, because he's a great promoter, puts on great gigs, knows a lot about sound, live sound, and all that kind of thing. He's been working with like Raging Speedhorn and things like that.
Yeah.
Really cool dude, and like really supportive of underground metal as well. So that's really good. In terms of Leeds, I know Temple of Boom is sort of the go-to for sort of extreme metal. I know that's, in fact, I saw Cadaver there before I joined.
Right.
With a few other bands. That's still ongoing. I think they're doing online gigs at the moment, sort of live streaming things. That was brought to my attention. We might try to get on that once we're kind of a little bit more gig ready and things like that. But yeah, the scene seems to be quite strong. Like, there's a good few bands that I like personally. There's a local band from Leeds, I think, called Soiree. They're really good. Petrichor, our friends in Petrichor, we love them. There's I mean, pretty much every band we've ever played with, to be honest, are all sound. Certainly in Manchester, we have quite a following as well, and we play a lot in Manchester with bands like Deus Mori and Arjesk. All really good friends, and it's a great community at the moment. Real good feeling about it.
That's excellent, Mark. I've only got a few questions left for you, mate. So just talking about gigs there. So there's obviously not going to be any live shows in the near future then. So did you have any plans for like the summer there, or have you got plans for next year? Are you going to be at like festivals? Is it going to be more local shows, or?
Well, to be honest, we kind of take shows as they come. With us being a drum machine band, we were kind of limited in where we could play and who would have us on, to be honest, as well. And then there's kind of the stigma attached to it as well, band without a drummer. I'm hoping that because we now have that and we're more sort of energetic live outfit, certainly I'm now fitter than I've ever been, so I'm going to be all over the place. I was bad enough when I was fat, but there we go. In terms of this summer, we were planning basically just to gig the hell out of it. We'd got a lot of shows planned. Obviously, they've not been able to go ahead. A lot of them have been rescheduled for next year already. There's a show next year in London with Wombbath, Repulsive Vision, and a few other bands.
Yeah,
that's one.
I saw that.
Yeah. As well as, like I said, there's a lot of things we're doing in Manchester as well, with sort of Metal Heart Productions as well.
Yeah.
Good friends of mine. And like I said, we're just looking to get out there as much as possible. By this time next year as well, we'll have the new album as well to support as well.
Yeah. So you ever thought of travelling a couple hours further north and coming into Scotland? That is, if we let you in right enough, you know what I mean?
I can understand your reservations. Motley bunch as us, but yeah, I mean, Cadaver I've played in Scotland before my time, but while I was just starting to rehearse with the band, they went with their old singer. We're more than happy to go back up there. We played in Edinburgh, which was a great evening from what I'm told. I'm more than happy to come back up there if there's any promoters want to put us on. I will happily shout at you.
That's excellent, thank you. So I may be showing my age a wee bit here, but before the internet, magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends. So now publications are being replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So do you think that some of the passion's been lost, or do you think that the internet's been a good thing for music and a good thing for Cadaver Soiree, for example?
And to be honest, I think kind of the more online publications there are, the better, because it gives passionate people like yourself and like other people in the scene sort of that platform that they might not have had previously to sort of voice their opinion and get the word out.
Yeah.
Sort of if you're looking back sort of 25 years ago to when it was all about sort of magazines and before really the age of the internet, you kind of only got your news from like 2 or 3 different places like Kerrang and things like that.
Crap. Yes. Sorry.
Yes, that's the one. That's what. Sorry, my mistake. But nowadays you can kind of get a multitude of different genres, and there's so many different pages specializing in different things, from death metal to grindcore to black metal to new metal even. You know, there's just so much information there that if you're willing to go out and look for it, there's just so much to get and so much value to get. Like, I've discovered so many amazing bands because of the internet and pages like yours.
Yeah. I've been talking to a couple of guys recently, like, who I've known since like 1990. I mean, bands like In Extremis and The Rain from Newcastle and stuff like that, but their bands are obviously defunct now, unfortunately. But it was the whole sending a £1 note in an envelope, and then you're getting a couple of days later, you're getting a blank tape back. You know, it was all that. Yeah. So you were just dying for the postman to come in and stuff like that. But like you say, it's now just a click of a button. So for every band, there's like 10,000 others doing the same thing. So it's like trying to find that jewel in the crown first. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of person that wants to listen to new stuff all the time. So
yeah,
I don't mind sifting through stuff that I'm less keen on, because I don't kind of view something as not having merit in its own right. It might be like that it's not quite my thing, but at least I've given it a listen.
Yeah,
there's been quite a few bands I've discovered that way. I'm sort of moving out of. I used to listen to a lot of power metal, and I'm kind of moving away from that now. But I've discovered a lot of power metal that way. And yeah, it's how you are as a music fan, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to just go for the big names, that's cool. You do you, but I'd rather trawl through and listen endlessly to stuff that.
I mean, there's so many bands in your local scene that deserve attention first, you know, rather than the Metallicas of this world, you know. So
totally. Yeah. Because the passion you get from like underground bands is just unbelievable. Like, I would rather go and watch one of my local gigs any day than go and watch Metallica or those. Actually, to be fair, I really want to go and see Metallica because I've never seen them. Bad example. But
so you wouldn't spend £110 on a ticket like they did the last time, though, would you?
No.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Lars has got enough Lamborghinis.
Yes, yeah. So I've just got the last question, but now's the time where I usually ask the guys about the instruments and what they play and whatnot. But am I right in saying, is this the first band that you've been the vocalist in?
Lead vocalist, yeah. I did one song in Hammer X that I was lead vocalist in, but that's because because again, I wrote it, and the guitarist stroke vocalist wasn't comfortable performing it in the way that I do, because it was almost like rapping.
Right.
It was very sort of angry and angsty and that sort of thing, but it was a sort of new wave of British heavy metal band, so it didn't suit his vocals, so I did it. But yeah, in terms of extreme vocals as well, this is the first time I've ever done it. I actually auditioned for Cadaver as not so much a laugh, but like just to sort of, we'll see what happens. Like, I was never actually expecting to get the job, but Andy had kind of heard my extreme vocals in sort of various live settings because I belt them out live and things like that. So he said, why don't you try out? You know, worst thing that can happen is it doesn't turn out. But yeah, went, and 2 years later, here I still am.
Here you are talking to me. So, so with being the vocalist, then, was it easy or was it difficult to find a microphone? Like I say, I normally talk to the guys about the instruments, and then, but is a particular microphone that you like to use when recording or rehearsing?
To be honest, I don't know the microphone I used in the studio because it was Dan's, basically. I like Sennheiser myself.
Okay.
Because they take a beating.
Was that a trial and error, and then you came across this one, or were you recommended?
Yeah, it's one that to be honest, my first few gigs I kind of just turned up and used whatever microphone they had. And I'm kind of working my way through different ones now, trying to find one that's working for me. But the one I actually have is a Sennheiser, which is it's good. It's working for me at the moment. I'm still open to trying different ones and things like that. Yeah.
And okay, you showed us your toy a wee bit earlier. Then, what guitar do you have? Then, what do you use to write your riffs?
So the electric guitar that I use to write the riffs it's not that one.
You're just showing off now. You've got more than one.
It's a different one. Where is she? There she is. So just
now I have to pause you there. You said she. Have you named the guitar?
Yep.
You're not going to embarrass yourself, are you?
Nope, not going to tell them.
So
yeah,
what's the make and model?
So it's Dean ML. I think it's the dinky version because it feels smaller than another one I've used in matte black. I tend to keep it on the neck pickup.
Yeah. So what chord does Cadaver Soiree record in? Is it D? Is it drop C? Or
we play in? It depends on the song because the album was recorded in drop A flat. We then went to A flat standard, I think. Andy would have to confirm that, but I think it's just A flat standard, and then we're going back to drop A flat for the newer stuff because Andy got a new amp and basically the drop tone's now clearer, so he's happier with his sound.
Yeah. Do you miss playing the guitar on the stage? Or are you quite happy just being the vocalist?
Nope, don't miss it at all. I was actually a bassist, but no, I don't miss it at all. I developed carpal tunnel, and I was just playing through it while I was in Hammer-X, and it was just causing me real pain every time we played live. So I was very, very happy not to be doing that anymore. So now I just do it kind of recreationally, just to write the occasional riff and try and get some rubbish that my dad listens to.
That's excellent. Well, listen, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Like I said before, like when you get new songs recorded, you know where to send it. We'll certainly do our bit. So I wish you guys all the best. And I certainly like the first album. So if it's anything like To Betray the Creator, you're on to a winner, mate. And I hope to see you up in Scotland soon. Or I'm certainly coming down to Manchester at Badger Fest in October. So if you're there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. So I'll come say hi and chat.
You'll probably find me at the bar. You know us Scots. So right, thanks again, Mark. Best of luck.
Thanks for speaking. Cheers, man.